Something really shocking happened in London recently, raising serious concern about United Kingdom government's handling of violent Khalistani extremism. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, India's top diplomat, was nearly attacked by a Khalistani extremist as he stepped out of his car after attending an event at the Chatham House think tank. The most outrageous part of the incident was that a pro-Khalistani supporter tore the Indian national flag right in front of London police officers who stood by, and they absolutely did nothing. Now, this act of vandalism and disrespect towards India took place in broad daylight in a country that claims to uphold democracy and law. The lack of immediate action from British authorities has once again brought attention to the question: why is the United Kingdom allowing such extremists to operate freely? So on Thursday, as Dr. Jaishankar attended a discussion in London, Khalistani radicals gathered outside the venue, waving flags and shouting anti-India slogans. The protest was not just limited to verbal aggression. The man ran towards Jaishankar's car in an attempt to attack him. In a shocking display of hostility, he grabbed the Indian flag and tore it apart, all while London police officers remained unresponsive. In fact, the video of the incident has now gone viral, exposing the UK's soft stance on Khalistani extremism and raising valid concern about whether British authorities are truly committed to tackling extremism or merely turning a blind eye when it comes to Khalistanis. Also, let me tell you, this is not the very first time when Khalistanis have targeted Indian officials or symbols of India's sovereignty. In March 2023, Khalistani mobs pulled down the Indian flag at the Indian High Commission in London and smashed the building windows. Similarly, incidents have taken place in Canada and Australia, where Khalistani groups have repeatedly defaced Hindu temples, threatened Indian diplomats, and even glorified acts of violence against India. In the US and Canada, the banned group Six for Justice continues to raise funds and spread propaganda openly, calling for the dismemberment of India and promoting violent means to achieve this separatist goal. Despite India's repeated warnings, the government in the UK, Canada, and Australia have failed to take any serious legal action against these extremists. Instead, they continue to allow them to misuse their freedom of speech to entice violence and hatred. The UK government itself seems to recognize this threat, at least on paper. The recent leaked report titled "Extremely Confused," the government's new counter-extremism review revealed, has explicitly mentioned pro-Khalistan extremism as a real issue. The report categorized it alongside threats like Islamist extremism and right-wing terrorism. It even acknowledges that while advocating for Khalistan is not necessarily extremist, the problem arises when violence is used to support the cause. If the UK government understands this, then why is it failing to act? Why are Khalistani extremists still roaming freely, tearing Indian flags, attacking Indian embassies, and attempting to harm Indian officials without any consequences? India, on the other hand, has been crystal clear in its stance against Khalistani extremism. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has personally raised the issue with the leaders of Canada, the UK, and Australia, urging them to crack down on these radical elements. India's Foreign Ministry had even summoned the UK's Deputy High Commissioner in March 2023 after Khalistani rioters attacked the Indian High Commission in London. Furthermore, India has officially declared several Khalistani leaders as terrorists under Unlawful Activities Act, and the Indian government has repeatedly provided crystal clear evidences of Khalistani group engaging in terror activities and their deep connection with Pakistan's intelligence agency ISI, which continues to fund and support this movement with the sole aim of destabilizing India. This brings up really tough and uncomfortable questions. Is the UK allowing violent extremists to operate openly on its soil? If a group of radical extremists had tried to attack a British diplomat in another country, would the UK tolerate it? Would the British government allow an Islamist extremist or a right-wing terrorist to attack on its minister the way Khalistanis attempted to attack Jaishankar? The hypocrisy is undeniable. Similarly, why has Canada, which has become a very safe haven for Khalistani extremists, not taken any action despite being repeatedly warned? Why is Australia ignoring the continuous act of Khalistani vandalism of Indian temples and allowing these extremists to use its land as propaganda hub? The truth is that the Khalistan movement is not about Sikh rights. It is a Pakistan-backed terror agenda aimed at destabilizing India. Sikh in India live peacefully and hold prominent position in politics, business and military. In fact, Punjab overwhelmingly rejected the Khalistan ideology decades ago, and today over 99% of Sikhs do not support it. The only reason the movement survives is because Khalistani extremists have found safe haven in foreign countries where they mislead the Sikh diaspora and spread their toxic propaganda. The real question is, why are these foreign governments letting this happen? Is it because of vote bank politics? Is it because of lack of political will? Or is there another propaganda at play? One thing is clear. India will not be intimidated. Despite Khalistani attempt to tear flags, attack diplomats and spread lies, India remains strong. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, Prime Minister Modi and India's leadership will not bow down to terror. No matter how many flags they tear, the Indian tricolour will always fly high. The world needs to wake up and take decisive action against Khalistani extremism before it's too late. You tell me, what do you think? Should India take stronger action against countries that shelter Khalistani extremists? Should the UK be held responsible for failing to protect Indian diplomats? Let us know your thoughts.